by giving a little bit of background to the view I have on sustainability and the view I have on the world. When I connect these three viewpoints up, they're not connected. We're not delivering engineering solutions. We haven't got the economic context right. We're not saving the planet. And I made the case that in the West or in the developed world, we've made a huge error of building cities around the car. And that's actually negative for us in all sorts of ways which I don't need to go into. But having made that error, we shouldn't be saying to the developing world, copy us, we should be saying, you go forward to where we need to get to and build your cities around people.
Thank you, Peter. Peace Child International is the organisation I work for and founded. And Road to Rio+20 is the project that we've been working on for the last 18 months, pretty much. And what he was talking about. This blip here is the time in human history since year 0, AD 0, where we've had the benefit of fossil fuels. It took, what, 200 to 300 million years to create the fossil fuel that we live on. And we've used them up in rather less than 200. Now, all the time in human history up to this point, mankind had survived on renewable fuels. And the reality is that from this point on, about the middle of this century, we're going to have to learn how to keep the lights on and keep ourselves warm, again with renewables. And that's called building the post-carbon energy infrastructure. And this, now, we've been peddling the idea of sustainable development as an educational NGO for the last 20 years. It is an oxymoron. It makes absolutely no sense to talk about development, growth, and sustainability in the same phrase. I think there is an opportunity for takeoff 2012 for a more sustainable, more hopeful, more prosperous world. Thank you.
So my name is Casper Kyle. I'm the co-founder of Youth Climate Coalition, and I now work on a project called Common Cause. First of all, if everyone can just stand up. It's a little chilly, right? Okay, yeah, exactly. So this is just a quick warm-up, so you need to get enthused and just follow me. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, give you three choices of where you think most of the power lies, or where change is going to come from. Governments, business, or civil society, so NGOs, movements, all of that kind of thing. So who thinks that governments have the most power to change and bring us towards sustainability? Who thinks business has the most power to bring us to sustainability? And civil society? Okay, so governments, there was one person, and the I think there's plenty of power there, and the rest was split between civil society and business. So that's really interesting, I think, in terms of what we've heard so far, global changes. And friends of mine were in Davos last week, and we had a big conference here, which we were invited to, where all these really senior, powerful people had, and you had conversations like, well, we just put $250 million into it, we'll never see that again. That kind of thing, and I was just like, but what shocked me most, and what I realized that the assumption that I had as I walked into that room, was that I thought these people must have answers. They must do. These people are in control, they're in charge. They have no idea what they're doing. They genuinely don't. But it's very simple. Has anyone heard of George Lakoff by any chance? Yeah, so some people have come across him. He talks about frames, political frames, which are really, really important if you're trying to communicate around these kind of complex issues. So I'm really interested in what are the stories which we're telling, and how does that excuse the behaviors and the systems that we create? Things can change very, very quickly if you play the game right, if you know where your power comes from, and if you understand where your levers of power are. I really hope that you guys take this on, is to go out and tell the new story about how sustainability can only be circular, how there isn't a difference between man and nature, and how there isn't such a thing as externality. And once you start doing that, you can't use just GDP anymore. You'll have to start looking at other indicators, the triple bottom line. Start thinking about, well, how do we actually create a sustainable society? But unless we're thinking at that level, I don't think we can see the change that we want to see. So, thanks very much. Sorry it was a little off time.
Well, Michelle and I kind of discussed it before, and we quite enjoyed Casper's talk just because like I came out of there kind of really wanting to do something.
Motivated.
Yeah, very motivated. Just seeing someone that young with that many aspirations and that much ambition just kind of gave us a bit of a, I don't know, an aspiration to actually do something.
It's really interesting to hear different perspectives, especially the first guy, Peter. That was really interesting.
I think it was really good. I think there was a good variety of speakers taking development and global development from different points of view, which I found very interesting. And they all kind of, though they were quite different, they all kind of tied into each other.
As well. And for the agricultural sector in particular, that means commodity price hikes in the end, because you're going to have scarcity of land, you're going to have low productivity, and so you're going to have high prices as a result of it. Yes, they still are dependent, and governments still have a role to play. They will always have a role to play. But I think the leading businesses are looking at this as a competitive advantage, and they want to position themselves fast. If you look at policy and procedures internally, from my experience of working with banks, you'll find that a lot of the people that work in sustainable finance, most banks have set up sustainable finance teams.
I'm going to be speaking a bit more from the heart than from the head this time. We spoke earlier about a change of values that is needed, and about my question is, when we speak about sustainability, what is it that we want to sustain? If that's okay, I'd like to go around the circle, and if we each say two things. One, where we call home, and two, one thing in your life that you want to sustain. That's really lovely, and especially that out of all of us, I think there was only one person who said a physical object. All the rest of us, it was connections, joy, nature.
Really like the variety of the speakers, like considering that it's just one event. And all of the speakers have been like really different to each other. Like, you know, there've been like campaigners, like people involved with like more technical sides of development. We've got the guy from the finance, like PwC, like with that sort of point of view. So I thought it was like really good to get like a range of views on development, and the fact that, you know, sustainable development it's seen differently from different points of view. It's not like one sort of universal silver bullet.
Zoe Young's talk, where people stated that their sort of main value, their main almost most primordial kind of instinct would be to save things like family, things like relationships, community, love, so on and so forth.
My workshop is called The Politics of Sustainability, or Exploring the Politics of Sustainability, Earth, Cow and Knowledge. And for me, Rio+20 is of course the world of policy. It's the international environmental policy making processes that it's reflecting upon.
As we think about Rio, it strikes me that there are two different worlds. These two worlds don't really speak the same language. And I'd say that language is the language that's knowledge. And that's why we as a coalition have come together.
Monitor and implement positive development across all three pillars, so the economic, the social and the environmental. Decision makers, government, business, all types of decision makers have had a real tendency to look at these three things far too individually. And so Rio, what we're hoping for is some institutional frameworks that will really bring together those three pillars and sort of make.
I hope you learned a lot from the process. I know I certainly did. And I just wish you a good evening and good luck in the future.
Yeah, I'm really glad we came, because obviously it does have direct links to what we study.